What's going on, traders? We got a few things to talk about, but before we start, like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. So, today we pretty much got our dead cat bounce. We talked about this like 2, 3 videos ago, and I honestly thought it would happen a lot sooner, maybe sometime last week, but it looks like we got that today. I did say in the last video that I do expect more downside today, or at least some type of consolidation, somewhat of a boring day. And me personally, I thought it was a boring day, but I guess that's all about perspective. We did see some upside, and I do think we're going to continue to see at least a little bit more upside. Right now, we're looking at the ES, and our key level here is 5580. We broke above 5580, and then we broke above 5600 as well. And right now, as far as our next key level here is about 5630. Okay, right here where the supply and demand zone is. If we can somehow get above 5630, then we'll be heading towards 5650, 5660 range. And then from there, we'll have to see what happens. Me personally, for me to be like really comfortable or for us to just really be bullish, I would like to see us get back into this liquid area at around 5700 range. If we can get back in here, then there is possibility for new highs to be on the table. But until then, I still think we're short term bearish. I still think we could potentially see more downside. It is important to note that we haven't created a lower high, okay, on the SPY and the triple Q. So that is something to keep in mind. We go to our daily time frame here and we zoom out. And I tell you guys about this channel all the time. If you're new to the channel or new to this YouTube channel, this channel here we've been talking about for like the past I don't know how many videos, but we rejected here. This is the daily time frame, by the way. We rejected here, and we rejected here as well. If we can get close to previous highs, then we could be looking at a creation of a lower high, therefore giving us a breakdown to a lower low and head towards this gap fill. That's another thing. We have yet to fill these gaps on the NASDAQ and the ES, and I think they're going to happen. I really do. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow or anything, but I do think it's going to happen pretty soon, especially during big tech earnings. I've told you guys multiple times that I think the market is going to continue to run into big tech earnings. Now that big tech earnings is here, I'm not surprised that we are seeing somewhat of a sell off, and I think we're going to see more selling happening during big tech earnings. Now, again, I think at some point in time, these gaps are going to get filled on the ES. This gap is around 5450, 5460 range. And I think we're going to head there after we create somewhat of a lower high. All right. Now, let's look at the NASDAQ. So, NASDAQ, pretty much the same thing. There's just not much room for upside here. If I were to say or give a level where we can go, this very liquidated area all the way up to 2300 range is very much possible here. Well, we can head all the way up here where the supply and demand zone is around 20,300, 20,400 range. And as you guys can see, if we can get up here, I would say past 20,180, 20,200. If we can get past that area, we can really move on the NASDAQ. Okay, we can really, really move here. So I would pay attention to this. I do think if we are going to continue higher, that is what I'm looking at, around 20,300, 20,400 range before we create somewhat of a lower high and start to break down. So just to put it into perspective, so we break higher, we create a lower high because we have a high here, lower high here, and then we create another one here, hitting the supply and demand zone, this daily supply and demand zone, by the way, and then we break further down and create a lower low. And we already filled this gap here, but if we go to the daily time frame, it's still, well, it actually is filled. But if we do get lower than this gap at around 19,650, 650, it gets really ugly really, really fast, guys. Like really, really fast. Okay, it gets really ugly. It gets very liquidated, and we can head as my first target will be 19,400, but I wouldn't be surprised we go much lower than that. We're looking at about 19,000. Okay, so be very careful. Is just my overall point here. Looking at the Nasdaq right now, I think we're just probably or most likely creating some type of a lower high scenario before we break down more even further. Well, we break further down. All right. So it's also important to note here that there is potential for a head and shoulders here. You got your shoulder here, you got your head here. If we create a lower high around this area at 20,300, we could be creating another shoulder. All right, so keep that in mind. And the neckline is pretty clear. I mean, it's very clear. So I will be careful here. Okay, I think stressed that enough. Let's move on. Triple Qs. Same thing we're looking at with the triple Qs. There is potential for an inverse head and shoulders pattern here, or not an inverse, but a head and shoulders pattern here. You got your shoulder here, you got your head here, and if we create a lower high at around 488, 490 range, we could be looking at a head and shoulders pattern. Now, there is a gap fill all the way at around 492, 494 range, and I do think that gap fill is possible if we just so happen to manage to get above 485 on the triple Qs, but that's really up in the air right now. I will say that much. If we get above 485, it's really tough for me to see us just really break into this area. I tell you guys all the time, gaps have very, very strong support and resistance. Very, very strong support and resistance. So we will need some type of good news, like really great news for us to really break into previous highs and get into this gap fill. So I'm pretty much on the edge as far as that gap being filled, but I will say that right now 100%, I think we're creating a lower high at this point on the triple Qs, or at least across the market. All right. We go to we zoom out on our daily time frame, and as you guys can see, we're pretty much looking at the same channel I just showed you guys on the NQ and the ES. And I told you guys we roll back into this channel, things can get really ugly. We roll back in, and I think right now we're probably going to head back to the top of this channel, maybe 490 at most, and then break further down on the triple Qs. If we do break further down, because people keep asking me this, or some people in the Discord ask me this, where can we go from here? 460 will still be my target on the triple Qs, but it is important to note that we do have a gap fill at around 468. Okay, 468. So right here on the daily time frame. So that would be the first target I would be looking at as far as the triple Q. So 485 break, and then after that, you're looking at a break below 474. You break below 474, you're heading to 470, and then you're looking at a gap fill towards 468. The lowest you can possibly go, at least short term, is 460 on the triple Qs. Looking at SPY. SPY, you're pretty much looking at the same thing across the board, guys. Just trading within these channels on a daily time frame. Um, and SPY actually does look pretty good here as far as a dead cat bounce or more upside here. Right now, I'm looking at a move to 562. If we just so happen to get above 556, that's my next target I will be looking at. 556 break, and then you're looking at a move towards 562. Not much to go over here. I'll pretty much just be regurgitating what I've been saying before. You're trading within this channel. You're rejecting here. You're rejecting here. You're rejecting all in this area here. Right now, you're just heading back to the supply and demand zone. If we are continuing to head further up, that's where I think we're heading towards this 562, 565 range. All right. If we break above 565, then there is possibility for newer highs on the table. Well, obviously, there will be newer highs on the table if we break above 565. So something to pay attention to. Let's look at SOXL real quick. So SOXL, again, a lot of these ETFs are showing that they want to retest or see lower highs be created. All right, and right here, I pretty much kept this simple for you guys. It looks like we're just going to retest at least this trend right here. You see it here. I don't make this stuff up. We bounced here, and then we finally broke down, and it looks like we're trying to retest it. We never retested it, so I think we're going to retest it. And right now, at minimum, I'm looking at a move towards the $60 range, but I mean, we can possibly head towards $64, $65 gap fill. I'm not really counting on it, but it is on the table. So something to look out for. First target would be $60 as far as the semiconductor ETF, or at least one of them. Okay. IWM. So the Russell. So we took profit in the Discord for our 215 calls. We took profit, 215 puts. We took profit at around 215.5. Made like a nice little $800 off of it. Nothing too crazy. But really nice play here. I think the Russell, if anything, is going to retest the supply and demand zone around 222 before breaking down. Now, unless we get like immaculate news in order for us to break through this range here, because there's a lot of turbulence here. Um, then we can possibly head higher, but there's a lot of bearish wicks here, guys. A lot of turbulence in this area, so it's really tough for me to see us break higher. So right now, I'm looking at a retest of 222, and then we potentially break further down. Now, how that affects the rest of the market is really tough to say. The Russell does have a mind of its own a lot of times, so I wouldn't really like panic or anything if you are bullish, I guess. If the Russell goes down, it does have the potential to go the opposite of the market for at least a short period of time. So we'll see. But right now, I think this is just another lower high being created, and that's about it. All right, that's all I really have for the Russell. 222 is what I'm looking at. 215.5 is what I'm looking for a breakdown and fill this gap around 213.5. I think that can happen sometime this week. We do have a decent amount of news, at least for Wednesday. I clicked on the wrong thing. Um, yeah, here it is. So Wednesday, let's see. So yeah, Wednesday we have a decent amount. We have flash services PMI, flash manufacturing PMI, and I believe we have a few Fed members speaking. So that could be the reason IWM does see a drop or maybe even newer highs. It's really tough to say. What I do say to you guys all the time is anytime we have an event coming up, the market tends to run into that event. So it does make sense that we may continue higher heading into tomorrow and heading into Wednesday. So something to pay attention to. But that's really all I have for this video, guys. Um, if I didn't make it clear, I think we're going to see at least a little bit more upside across the market, and then from there we'll have to see. Right now, I'm not extremely bullish. I'm more so leaning bearish. I think right now we're just creating a lower high scenario, and that's about it. Um, if you want access to the Discord link is in the description below. In our website, and also if you want access to our text message alerts, where you get text message on what stocks I'm in, what trades I'm doing, all that fun stuff directly sent to your phone. Right here, you go to the website, and it's right here on the right side. If you're using a cell phone, you just click the three bars. They'll be on the left side, and it'll just say get SMS alerts, and you click on that, and then everything else is self-explanatory. Really appreciate the support, guys. And that's all I have. So until the next video, traders, have a good one.